Cooking souls.
All right. Baragani, Salam, Islam, Atep, peace. It's Chief Noble Bandele, Amen, again coming at you. I have my comrade, my partner. We study together, and he's also got some books out. Brother's name is Amen Maat Ra, and he will be discussing two of his books that he has, dealing with the Roman Illusion, Volume 1 and Volume 2. So let's get into it. What's up with this book? What's the Roman Illusion, man?
The Roman Illusion project, it's a three-part project. Volume 1, I deal with the African origins and foundation of Christianity. Volume 2, I deal with the origins of Judaism. And Volume 3, when I complete that, will deal with Islam. So the ideal of the project was to give modern religions from an African perspective and from an African purview. So, you know, the inspiration was to start to analyze and translate and look deeper into our taken for granted religious practices and everything, and start to take them back to their ancient roots and see how these religions were actually created and how characters were constructed.
Most def. So what is the Volume 1 about? I mean, you know.
Volume 1, I start, it's introduction research on the African origins of Christianity. So Volume 1, I pick up showing how the character that's known as Jesus the Christ, or Yahshua, was actually constructed, and how the secondary character, his mother, the Virgin Mary, how these concepts had already existed in ancient black African antiquity prior to colonization. So before the creation of Christianity, we see the prototypes for the foundation of our religious concepts. So prior to the existence of Christianity, we see the foundation of the virgin concept and the concept of a woman giving a virgin birth that is a pure heart in the African Nile Valley. In fact, all throughout the African Nile Valley, over 1,500 years before the existence of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And these are topics of discussion that haven't been fully explored or investigated through the lens of scholarship. So the Roman Illusion just takes a neutral glance and investigation into the three major world religions, and it shows them through a different lens. So I provide primary sources, pictures of temple walls, so we can begin to deconstruct religions and see how they were actually created.
Man, that's pretty heavy right there, brother. So basically you're saying that the Virgin Mary was something that was already here, that it was already in Africa. You say at least, what, 1,500 years?
Indeed. It can be proven easily that for over 1,000 years, the concept of a black woman giving birth, a holy birth, to a child that would be a savior to humanity, that concept, the iconography, the artistic depictions, that was present in the African Nile Valley long before the concept of Christianity was even constructed, long before any papyrus or any printed material can attest to a Yahshua or a Jesus Christ or the concepts and pillars of Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. We see the virgin birth in the African Nile Valley. But the depiction is different because it portrays religion through a different perspective, through a lens that isn't prejudiced. And it's in its raw, pure essence. But these concepts, you know, these concepts have been here in our image for thousands of years.
Definitely, man, definitely. So, so like in the 1500 period, are you dealing with just African, like Kemetic, or are you dealing with the whole African principle from other parts of Africa?
Exactly. In this particular work, the Roman Illusion Volume 1, all three volumes are very small bodies of work with the information in there to get you in to the arena of the discussion. Then I give you references to go into it deeper. So the primary focus here would be ancient Kemit or ancient Egypt. So the lens, the way that I'm comparing and contrasting Christianity versus African spiritual principles, I use as my backdrop, as my primary source of reference, I use the deities, the gods and goddesses of ancient Kemit or Egypt. And then I use those as a basis and a foundation, as a primary source to compare where the origins of the prophets, the saviors, even the various biblical characters and biblical concepts and precepts, how they pit up and show how the format, the blueprint that was left in the African Nile Valley was literally copied, plagiarized, and then replicated and synthesized into the religions that we now formally call Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. So it's not to cast aspersion to any religion. You know, all religions, all faiths must be loved, tolerated, and respected. However, we always need to know the primary source.
True.
Every child needs to know who his mother is. Every child needs to know who his father is, who her father is. And to deny a child the chance to meet their parents face to face, you know, that's a crime into itself.
That's right. I mean, they say it's a sin to, you know, disrespect your mother and father. So disrespecting our ancestors is the same kind of transgression. So I'm with you on that. So give me one, give me an example of one of the deities that are in Kemit that you would be using. You know, I know we're not gonna spill the bag, but we
Right.
at least one so people can get an understanding of like where you coming from with that.
I would say one, we could look at a primary angel that you see in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. That would be the angel Gabriel. And he's also often referred to as the voice of God. And he is the angel that gives revelation. When the Virgin Mary was about to give an immaculate conception to Christ, it was the angel Gabriel who gave the prophecy to forewarn her and informed her. We see that concept 1,000 years before you have Gabriel or Jibril in Arabic. You see Tahuti, also known as Jehuti, or who the Greeks called Thoth. And he was the voice of God. And he came before the goddess to announce to Aset, or who the Greeks called Isis, her virgin birth. So even when we see how the angels and archangels of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are set up, we see that the three religions, the three major religions, because they're all three extensions of the same primary source, which is Abraham. From Abraham, you have Christianity, then Judaism, and Islam. But the foundation of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity is the African Nile Valley. Now, this is no different than a student copying another person's test and reaping all the benefits and the accolades of another person's hard work. So what the Roman illusion attempts to do is to just put everything in a court of law unbiasedly and show where the common source of information, what is the mother source of this information, what is the father source of this information. So it was quite easy to compare and contrast, and it was very easy to see the inspiration that gave the impetus to create Christianity, Judaism, and Islam as not necessarily sister systems, but cousin systems to teach a similar philosophy. The problem was the religions became hijacked by Roman, European, Western influence, and it became used as a system of oppression, as a system of dichotomy.
Definitely. So that leads me right into my thoughts. I mean, you were in my head. My question was going to be, so why do you name it the Roman illusion? And so you kind of was, I think, hitting it there.
True. And my inspiration for the Roman illusion is because here in America, often we worship our religions through a European lens, through a European perspective. And these works, this research challenges, what if that were an illusion? If you began to research into your ancestors, your great-great-grandmother, and you began to hear her facts, would you be able to see through the illusion? Would you be able to put away a system that was constructed for your detriment? Would you be able to see through the illusion and go back to your ancestors?
Hmm.
Can you be, even if you do not prescribe to my perspective of spirituality, can you strive to become an African Christian, an African? Can you start to let go of the veil, let go of the illusion? Because we're the only people that do not call, we don't have a mode of expressing God in a language other than English.
True.
Everyone else comes to America, and when they call out the name of their God, they call it out in their mother tongue. We do not do that. And it's important that we start to consider applying these principles slowly but surely, to our lives and to our daily outlook. Definitely. Apply images and spiritual systems and sciences that come from people that look like our mothers, look like our great-grandmothers.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, man, it sounds like some great work. You've kind of been discussing a little bit of all three, in particular the Christianity. Now, the second part of that is what? The Islam?
The third part is
Judaism.
Islam, yes. Volume 2, I deal with the origins of Judaism.
Right, Judaism. Okay, so in that one, what is one of the things in Judaism that you see a direct correlation to the
one thing that my research has led me about the origins of Judaism is like one of the primary principles of Judaism being the Ten Commandments of the prophet Moses. Through my research, I have seen and I can demonstrate that these principles, plus many more, had already existed in African Nile Valley civilization in Kemit in ancient Egypt for over 1,000 years. And the same principles, 10 principles that we call the 10 Commandments, these principles have always existed in the African Nile Valley. And they are not foreign to the African Nile Valley. They were rooted in the African Nile Valley long before the creation of Judaism.
I got you. So I I've heard the Nile Valley civilization. I tend to use that myself. Now you've been using the word, you're using it as African Nile Valley. Is there any reason in particular for you using African Nile Valley versus, Nile Valley civilization or anything like that?
Because I like using that term because I try to bring all the great nations that brought so many sciences, technology, artistic contributions to the pinnacle of it, what we call Kemit. Because, Kemit was composed of many great black African geniuses that came together under one banner. And, even prior to Kemit, before the first pharaoh, we had so many. Our legacy, the African legacy, is an amazing spiritual and intellectual legacy. So whenever I get a chance, I try to use terms that kind of bring it all together so that people won't think that I'm just strictly locked into the demographics of Egypt. I
got you. So real quickly too, we got a couple minutes. What is your background? What have you been studying and
Oh, I started out as an art major. And then after I stopped doing that, I became an independent researcher doing internships. And lately, my primary focus has been dealing with African scholarship and trying to get as much African scholarship as possible. Starting out with the elementary principles, working up to collegiate and the more scholastic writings to begin to better understand what was left to us by our ancestors, written on all these different temple walls. With the hieroglyphic system.
Definitely, man. That's peace and love, man. I know you also been studying. We was talking about the West African civilizations too. So I know you've been getting into that too. So that's peace and love, man. We're about the end of this, so I appreciate all the work you've been doing, brothers and sisters. Until next time, we are out. Tuta Nana.